Hey now, and how are you doing? Want to welcome you to the next episode of Peace, Love, and Bring a Bat. Today we're going to bring on my friend Vanessa, who runs charities, and you know how much we talk about Goons for Good. So she's definitely a goon for good. So how are you doing this morning, Vanessa?
Oh my goodness. We talk about good. I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I'm feeling good, but busy.
Well, that's what
Yeah.
always happens. Well, let's why don't you share with everybody exactly what you do, what's going on in your life, including your conference that's coming on up soon.
Oh my goodness. So what I do is I call myself I'm an advocate. I'm a advocate for people who want to start, build, and grow their nonprofit because it is so challenging if you've ever started a nonprofit, even when you worked in a nonprofit. And so I teach them how to grow, start, build, get funding, do fundraisers, the whole nine yards from the concept in their mind to getting it funding and to really set them up to leave a legacy. So that's one of the things I do. And why do I do it? I'm going to explain. I started a nonprofit in 1987, and it has been one of the most challenging things I have ever done. But we're still in existence, which is wonderful. We're still doing wonderful work. And so I know how challenging it is from a founder's perspective. And so my goal and my mission is to help other founders because I promise, I said, when I was going through it, I promised, I said, Father, if you help me through this, I will go back and help others. And he has helped me through it. Our nonprofit is amazing. So now here I am out to help others. So this is what I do. I have a membership club, and this upcoming July, we're having a fearless fundraising summit. And it's a
Mm.
free summit to teach other nonprofit founders how to raise money. And we're bringing together 10 to 12 wonderful speakers who has experience with fundraising, with the setting up the foundation and the structure and showing nonprofits alternatives and strategies and tactics. So we're coming together and we're offering a free summit to give them some ideas on what they could do if they have limited time, limited money, limited resources, and limited experience. So that's what
Yeah,
I do.
I can't wait for it. That's how we connected through our friend, a mutual friend, Kimberly. So I really can't wait, and I'm honored, and thank you again for inviting me to be a speaker. So because, well, let's hear how you started your fundraiser. So your not for profit.
Oh my goodness. I started my nonprofit. It's been 37 years ago. And so, yeah, it's been a
How's
while.
that possible? You're not 37 yet.
I know I'm barely 37 myself. And it was challenging, but I was a teen mother. And as a teen mother, there wasn't a lot of resources for me back then. It was back in the day where you'd be in high school or whatever, and one of your best friends would disappear or someone in school would be gone. You're like, well, where does such and such go? Oh, they went to go visit Aunt Susie. Oh, okay. And then they come back 9 months later, and no one would have ever known that they went away and to visit and had a baby, but they were in one of these homes where you get pregnant, you have your baby, and you give them away. And so
Mm.
I started out during that time, but as I started, they were just closing them down. So there wasn't a lot of resources available for teen mothers. I said, when I get grown, I'm gonna start a program for teen mothers. So when I was 21, I figured I was grown, right? And I started my program for teen mothers. And that's how it started. You had to give them resources and support. And it's just grown into a wonderful behavioral health organization. We provide drug and alcohol counseling. But I tell you, David, it was the hardest thing I've ever done. So many nights of blood, sweat, tears, so many nights crying, stressing, not knowing what to do. But I knew it was my purpose and I knew it was my passion, and nothing was going to get in the way.
Well, that's
So,
it. When you have passion, that's the part that we all. When you have a not for profit, you have a passion for either the work itself, which is what I do, and I have many missions within our folder, but it's because you want to do it. It's not because that Vanessa's great doing this or Dave's doing great, Morris, who's my co-founder. No, it has nothing to do with us. Much like we said in the green room, sometimes God, you know, has us working through him. He wants this to remain anonymous. And I
mhm.
think that's the real power for non-for-profits is when you really do that, are you doing it for you or are you doing it for a mission that's greater than you? More than even just greater than a person who might have passed away. Because the mission is about the item, not only so that person continues to live. While that is also an honorable thing, and I assist a lot of charities that do, have started just because of the pain that they went through to allow others to know about that pain that they're not alone.
Mhm. And it is, most people start that I've seen start nonprofits is because one or two things. It's because they've experienced themselves or someone they loved have experienced it. And they're like, you know
Mm.
what, I got to start this nonprofit. I want to help, I want to give back. And you mentioned something, and one thing I believe that nonprofits, they don't do this for glory because there is no glory. And so one of the things I'm working on doing is starting a program specifically for founders where I'm calling it Nonprofits Rock the World because nonprofits are very powerful. We rock this world.
Yeah,
So much is down
we
on the
make the
ground
change.
level. Yeah, yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
That's why in our mission for Goons for Good, we have a few not, and we support other non-for-profits. So
Hmm.
because we know if we change our communities, if we get involved and assist the communities, we're all changing the world rather than top down. We want to go bottom up because we are stronger when our legs are stronger and our foundations are stronger.
Absolutely. And what I want to do is acknowledge all the nonprofit founders, right? Because you really don't get that much acknowledgement. You're like, oh, this organization is wonderful. Or you see the frontline staff that's out there and you're like, oh my goodness, you're doing wonderful work. But you never really see the person in the background who's not sleeping at night, the person who started, who's used all of their hard-earned money to get the nonprofit up and running. Because in the beginning, you are paying for it yourself, right?
Oh,
And so
for
you
sure.
don't see that. And so I would just love for people to just one day the CEO, the founder, they're working in their office and somebody just comes and gives them a cup of coffee. Just a random act of kindness to say, we see you and we appreciate the work that you're doing. Because sometimes I think they're unseen. They're the unseen heroes, the founders.
100% because it's also that butterfly effect. So
Mhm.
think about the mothers that you've helped over the years, or you know it from the experience that you've had. It becomes a butterfly, right? Those children, right? There are children there who grew up with a certain grace because of the circumstances.
Mhm.
When can't with cancer, when you're at your lowest, when you somebody says, "I want to help you," and not I want to be there. As a mentor, when I was being a certified peer recovery advocate, you're supposed to just sit with somebody, create
Yes.
that safe space. And if you could create that safe space, it's not always coming together with a solution. As you know, probably by talking to the teen moms, it's sometimes that is, there might be a shame to it. There might be a lot of family issues that are tied to it. And having that safe space is so valuable.
Mhm. It really is. It really, really is. And you love it. And so that's what I want to create for the founders, the nonprofits. It's called Nonprofits Founders Club. So we have a
Mm.
founders club and it's specifically for them and give them a safe space. Because I remember a lot of times when I was running my nonprofit, there wasn't a safe space for me. There was no place for me to go. Number one, it started in the 1980s, right? And then so it was really challenging for me because back in the 1980s, you have this young Black female coming into this community say, I'm going to make a change, right? And they're like, who are you? We don't know you. You're a young kid, you're 21, 22. You're a Black female. You're not, so there was no safe space for me to go. When
Right.
I wanted to learn how to
The
write
80s were not
grants. Yeah,
a safe
yeah,
time. Yeah, sure, for sure.
right.
I remember
And
them.
yeah, and even now when you think about it, there's still not a safe place for them because it's very territorial, right?
Yeah,
So when you start to go, yeah, it's territorial. So it's like, where do you go? You're getting out there and you're getting beat up, and you're like, well, where do I go? Who do I talk to? So I want to be able to provide that support for them and teach them how to do it and how to navigate all of
I
that.
think that's really important to talk about as not for profits. We have to not fight with each other. That's why
Right.
I look to support with other not for profits. I'm not looking, and what I always say, you could make a donation to mine. I wear 501(c)(3), or go straight to who you want to give it to. Like
Hmm.
none of that matters to me because it's the mission that comes out.
Right.
While I'm happy to figure out if you don't know who do you want to donate to, I know the people I want to be with, right? I know a guy. That's
Hmm.
one of our catchphrases just because of our New York accent. But it really comes into that. Why wouldn't I want to support something like that? I always ask that question, including in most of the bigger political things. Would you not want to support a young child who had a child? What do you do with that?
Hmm.
Well, it's
Right.
their fault, right? You hear those things, and I'm like, okay, but that doesn't matter. What happens to that baby? If we don't
Right.
support that baby, whatever judgment you think you have, because we all have made mistakes. We all have
Right.
sinned in some way, and have that grace. that's
Yes.
where non-for-profits really, I was just at a handicap camp that they had me sitting there, and then one of the women who, an adult handicapped person, that's their definition. I usually use disabled or,
Hmm.
uh, uh, and they she was like, well, why is he here? And then they let me speak, and then they all came over to hug me because I said, I'm here to support you guys. I'm
Yeah.
here to find out the mission going forward, how I could support you guys. It has nothing to do with me. I'm here. I was enjoying the their weekend retreat, a portion of it. And
Yeah.
how would you suggest to other non-for-profits to be less territorial?
One of the things I look at, and it's something that you and I were speaking about before we got on, is like there are billions of people in this world, and in your community alone, there are so many people that need help. We cannot be narcissistic or think that we're a God, that we can serve them all, right? And so we have to work together. Our organization only has so much capacity, right? So say our organization could serve 100 kids. Well, but there's 200 kids that need service. Where do you think those other kids should go? You need to partner with other organizations to make sure that they get their support. And when we talk about community based, we're talking about the community. So other nonprofits are part of our community. And
Mm.
it's wonderful to work with others in the community because you leverage your resources, right? And so that's so important to figure out, how can I work with these other organizations to leverage the resources? I may have a nickel, but my program costs a dime. This other organization has a nickel too. Let's come together and bring our nickels together, right?
100%.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes.
that's
And
what I
you
love
the
to do.
kids. Oh,
Why wouldn't we? So that's always my other question. Uh, why wouldn't you?
yes.
Is it out of ego or not? And then when people go, it's a little bit it's tough out there with the money. I'm like, yeah, but if you put it together or find a way. Now, not everything is going to be able to mesh well, right? Not every relationship works, but if you can work to find a way and spend some time on how to find the ways, the magic happens. You
Yes.
know, and
Yes.
sometimes you just have to ask that question. Right now the episode will have already the event will have already came. We have a comedy night that we're doing. We're supporting a food pantry. So
Yeah.
it's we're organizing it, and we're telling everybody the proceeds are going all to the food pantry. Like, come
Hmm.
fill your bellies so their bellies could get filled. I think
Yes.
that's what we need to do, is realize that if we shine a light, we're also shining a light on ourselves. There's
Hmm.
no missing the boat on that. We want goons to be out there, but we also are not profiting from it. We're also doing that. Nobody on goons is taking a salary, so it's not that the profit the proceeds after we take salaries and this and that. We're just, give me my expenses and the rest goes to the food pantry. I think we need to
Yeah.
do more of that and talk to people in the not-for-profit, because as I've been doing this for years, it really is, you know, very siloed, and got to knock down some
Hmm.
silos.
Yeah, yeah. And then we also need to talk with the people that as you talked about, supporting nonprofits,
Sure.
really looking at the work that they're doing, and saying, what resonates with me, what resonates with my soul, and then find that organization or find the people that resonate with your soul and get out and
Right.
volunteer,
Yeah.
donate if you can, make a referral. There's so many different things that you can do. Come to some of their events. So it's not a lot. But again, when we talk about nonprofits, founders, we have to realize when we talk about, that collaboration, that we're collaborating with funders, we're collaborating with donors.
Right.
We can't see the funders or the donors as competitive people, right? So why would you think that your community partners are competitive? We're all humans trying to do this thing, but it makes it hard because we know they'll put there could be $1,000 put in the community, and it's like thrown into the community, and everybody has to vie for it. But if we can come together and say, how can we all just maybe use a little bit of it, but it only goes so far.
Well, that's it. If you have a bigger event, is you've partnered with somebody, and they all sit together, you have a bigger room of
Hmm.
impact. And yeah, there's the financial, but that's also where, as goons, we're like, sometimes we're just going to ask you to show up. We're not going to ask you for your financial. One of my mentors, Frank Shankowitz, used to say, money is great. He goes, but I'd rather find the real people who help out and have those people show up, have those
Mhm.
people be visible,
Yeah.
voices. That's what we could do for free, right?
Mhm.
Be there, show up. If I say I need, 6 people at a food pantry, where's my people in this area, in your area? And we start
Mhm.
building it out because then also when something else happens where we've done this successfully is somebody's house goes on fire. They lose their possessions. What do? We send out a message to those same people going, "Hey, I'm not asking for anything. If you have any lightly used clothes, this family needs this. This is what goes on." Working with people who give back. And
Mhm.
that's really why it's more important to partner than just to keep in that siloed approach.
Yes.
Take the blinders off. The
Yes.
world
Yeah,
is
the
so big.
silo. Yes, the silo approach doesn't help. And that's one of the reasons why I really focus on nonprofits that's been in existence 5 years or less. Because what you do find too, though, is that people that are in the community and have been there for years, they are territorial, right? And so I want to work with the nonprofit to prime them and to show them this is how you get into their community because they have to know, like, and trust you,
Right.
you know. And so how do you get them to know, like, and trust you and support? And sometimes you're going to get beat up a little bit and you come back here, I'm gonna support you. Let's try it this way. Because you need a sounding board, somebody to sound that off. So we have the community of these new nonprofits that can do that with each other.
Yeah, no, for sure, and you need that, and that's why among the things we're going to talk about when I'm going to talk about is the stress reduction, because as you were saying, how hard is it to overcome it, and we
Mm.
don't know what to do. We don't take time for ourselves. This Some of it because we've started the non-for-profit out of a place of trauma, loss, or something we've experienced.
Yeah.
We then can't see if I don't work hard enough, right? Our society teaches us work harder, work harder, work harder, and it's not.
Yeah.
While you still have to do hard work, not saying that that doesn't happen, but maybe work smarter, maybe having the ability to do the things that we want to do in a way that it doesn't become as heavy. When I talk to people, that's what I do is I say, let's not carry the whole problem at once. Let's
Right.
bring it into smaller pieces. And that's why I'm excited to be part of the conference next month.
Yes. And then what I want to do, and then have fun,
Yeah.
right? That is so important. It's like when I show founders how to have fun. Just another little plug. I'm having a grant writing retreat in October.
Oh,
And
nice.
it's a 4-day, 3-night retreat. It's like, come, I'm gonna teach you how to grant write, but also how to take care of yourself, have fun. Because we talk about trauma, people start the business because they come in with trauma, but we don't think about the trauma that they pick up while they're in the business, right? I know within my nonprofit, I was so traumatized sometimes. Sometimes I look at email and I'm like waiting for the bad news, or the phone rings and I'm waiting for the next shoe to drop, right? And
Sure.
so that started being traumatized. It's like, okay, now what's next? What's going to happen now? Because things are always happening, and I think it's just the nature of the beast. And when we talk about being down here, it's like, okay, I came down to this earth to learn some things. And this is the venue that I get to learn it in. It's tough, you
Sure.
know,
No,
it's
right.
tough.
So tell me a
Yeah.
little bit more about this retreat. Well, where is this retreat going to be?
It's going to be in Augusta, Georgia. And it's going to be a very intimate retreat because I want to give people the opportunity to learn how to write grants, learn how to tell their story,
Mm,
understand the guidelines, and to be able to write while they're there and to have me there critiquing and training and showing them this is what the funder asked for, this is how you answer it. And now we're
mhm.
going to write. So it's going to be very intensive for 4 days and 3 nights. But then also we're going to have meditation, healthy eating, and taking care of us and learn about storytelling. So
That
it's
sounds
going to
awesome. That sounds
be
perfect. Uh, I'd like more information on that. So
okay, okay, yeah, absolutely. So, and I have to say, I love grant writing. And the reason why I love nonprofits, period. But when I first started, I had no idea what a grant was. People was like, oh, you got to do grant writing. And I'm like, okay, write a proposal. I'm like, okay. And I was like, what is that?
yeah,
And back then in the day, there was no internet. There was no World Wide Web. I had to go to the library or I had to knock on people's door and ask them, can you show me about grants? And people would be like, they would give it to me. And then I said, can I have a copy? They'd be like, nope. They would give me a copy. And so I didn't know how to write, didn't even know I was able to read it. I said, I can't comprehend this. I don't even know what this is, right?
right.
And so then I remember going to a library and I found the flyer that said grant writing class. And I was like, okay, I'm going to take this class. Well, I couldn't afford it, right? Back in the day, it was like $1,200, something like that. And that was in the 80s, early 90s. I couldn't afford that.
Yeah.
So I went and I asked the instructor, I said, do you have a partial scholarship? He gave me a partial scholarship. So I ended up paying $600 out of my pocket, which was nice. Went there, took his class, and I was like, okay, I know a little bit more. And then I went and I wrote a grant. My first grant, I wrote it to the state of California. Who writes the first grant to the state, right? I didn't know. And it was like 120 applicants. I came in number 20.
Wow.
My very first grant, but we didn't get funding because they didn't give out 20. And so the funder called me and they said, you want to know what you did wrong? And so I came in and they critiqued it with me. I said, okay. I wrote the grant. The next time it came out, I came in number 2 in the state.
Mm.
And can you imagine all of these other hundreds of people that have been in the field for so long, and for me to come in number 2? And so of course we were funded. It was exciting. And so we've been funded ever since. And I have just loved grant writing. I've loved it. I've learned it. I've
Oh,
honed it.
that's where the diamonds are.
Yes.
When you find out all those different places, you just got to
Yeah.
dig. It's like anything
Yeah.
else. You got to dig. It might not be pretty, but
Yeah.
at the end of the
Yeah.
day, you're shining, and you're definitely shining.
Oh my goodness. That's my jam. People say, let's do an event. And I was like, oh, I have to do an event because you have to diversify your funding, but it
Sure.
just is not my thing. But I'm like, okay, give me a grant. I got this. Like this weekend, I'm writing 2 grants this weekend. I'm like, okay, I got to get these submitted. But yeah, so that's it. It's wonderful, Dave. And I am so excited. I'm so excited to meet you because I love what you're doing. I love people who are out there doing you know, and so I'm just amazing to meet you. Thank you for what you do.
Well, thank you. I have to get better at the receiving of, because it's not about me. I used to have a big ego, right? That was what caused me trouble in my life prior to the not-for-profits. But but it also it was helpful. So one of the names that I used to be given was Uncle Dave. Well, I still am, but because we were in on State Recovery Day in New York, we'd go up to talk to the politicians, and at one politician sort of tuned us out a little bit because they were telling stories about their children being uh, dying from overdose, from substance
Mm,
disease. And
yeah.
after a while, you hear those stories, and no matter how many times you hear those stories, when you realize it's a real life, it really pulls at you. But they were, they're politicians. They were like, they heard it, they were listening, they were being respectful. But you could see, because I've been in enough meetings like that, they were disconnecting. They were just like,
Mhm.
okay, I hear it, I feel for you. And I just kind of did an E.F. Hutton moment. And I'm like, no, no, no. This is what we need. While we each could tell a story about something in substance abuse that has, brought us here, but we need you to do the action. So none of these stories mean anything if we don't do our action. And they're
That's
all
right.
looking at me. And one of the moms was like, but I wanted to tell my story. I go, I will listen to your story. But we were in a position where we need something to get done. Would you agree? She goes, yes. And among the other people, they were like, you're like an uncle. You knew what to say, but it might not have been the right way. I'm like, yeah, that's guilty as charged.
So,
But that's what we need to do is not for profits also is know those stories, because while our story is emotional, how do we use those stories to realign with what our mission is?
That's right. That's right. Storytelling is huge. You make such a great point. As our organization grew, we grew into a behavioral health, a drug and alcohol organization, and a
Mm,
behavioral health because
sure.
we feel there was a need. And then in the community I was in, there was really no one who was providing drug and alcohol counseling for youth.
Yeah.
So we were a youth organization. So we actually changed into an organization for drug and alcohol counseling for youth. And we had very little sympathy and empathy for the youth because the youth that we serve are involved in drugs and alcohol, have mental health problems, involved in the juvenile justice system, suspended or expelled from school. And a lot of people see them as perpetrators and not victims.
Right.
And so we got over the year, people say, well, how many people donated to your organization? Not many, because we didn't have a cute little fuzzy kitten, nothing that's fuzzy. A lot of people are afraid of our kids, right? They're
Yep.
involved with gangs. And people are like, no, So it's just amazing, but you have to look into your community. Sometimes when we start an organization, we start them off as one, like my passion was, oh, I'm gonna start it for teen mothers, but I'd look and see what the community needed. Not only what the community needed, what the community wanted. Because as they say, you can build it because you think they need it, but if they don't want it, they're not going to come.
Oh, that is so beautiful. Yeah, because that's exactly what it is we can't just push our mission, our views on others, but it's what they want. I mean, it's even when in every other way. That's why having your heart-centered leaders is not just enough. You also have to know what they want.
Hmm.
And that was really, so many different ways why I love to partner with it because I have passions, deep passions on a lot of areas. The areas that I don't, I might not be able to support every organization because it's not an area that I know about yet or I've experienced it. I think
Hmm.
that's where we find the lanes of people. How do you find the lanes? I know on the broad sense of just gathering not-for-profits, but when you are looking to partner with other not-for-profits, how do you discertain?
That's a really good question. So we're out in the community. So our nonprofits out in the community, we're going to community events, different affairs. If there's something going on, we're making sure we're at the table. Community meetings. We
Mhm.
participate with the county. We have open houses and we invite people to come get to know us. We want to get to know you, right? And we always reach out to others in the community because we want to make sure we have a referral source. It's like, who can we refer our clients to? Who do we think we are that we can serve our clients by ourselves? Our clients need more services because we're not the be all end all. So we're constantly making sure that we're updating in our referral. And we're one of the older organizations in the community. So we want to know who else is coming into our community.
Sure.
Because when we talk about the territorial, it's a two-way thing. So as a new organization, it was like, ooh, bumps, bruises, it hurt, but I understand why. Because if I have a client and I have someone new coming into the community, I'm not going to automatically send them to you because I want no harm to come to the client. I need to make sure that I know who you are and who I'm sending my client to, and that you're going to be here next week. You're going to be here in a month from now, right?
Right.
So we get out there and that's one of the backbones of our organization is to establish those relationships. Because like I said, I'm a grant writer, right? And so as I'm writing grants, I don't write grants just for an organization. I'm always looking for collaborative partners.
Mm.
We're writing grants and we're serving kids. We're like, okay, we're providing drug and alcohol, mental health counseling and anger management, those things. But what about the other services they need? They may need employment. We partner with a dance group that teaches kids about dance, that may take kids on trips. Let's partner with you and we'll write you in our grant and we'll pay for our clients to participate. See, we've leveraged resources and we're giving them money because they're in our grant, because they're providing services to our kids. Right.
Yep. No, 100%. And one of the things that I think we've both missed on is what's the name of your organization?
That's right. My nonprofit is called Another Choice, Another Chance.
Okay.
Another
Um,
choice, another chance. Yeah. And if people get to know me, they'll get to hear all my little stories about now, why did you name it Another Choice, Another Chance? I'm going to save that one. But
okay.
but it's really important when you're starting your nonprofit to really do your research and you're starting your foundation. And I talk about some of those different things. And as we talked about, knowing what you say, oh, I'm going to do this because this is what they need, or I'm going to do, as I was like, we're going to do this because this is what they need, or I've experienced in this, but it's not what they want. And so we'll need to take a look at that and see what the community wants. Because when I first started, the community needed some, and even the government stepped in. It's like, we don't want your services. Don't want your what? You know? So it's really interesting. Yeah.
Right, because it becomes empowering also. I mean, when you teach people, because even when you were talking about substance disease, most of that is all tied to mental health or not being able to cope with the situation you're in.
Right.
That's what we need to teach better. That's one of the things that
Mhm.
I'm very strong about
Yeah.
is, you know, let's figure out what the root cause of it is. And a lot of times it's our childhood. And again, unintentional. Like that's where we also get to, I just had a conversation earlier today about unintentional. Our parents do the best they can with the tools that they have. And if we
Absolutely.
start teaching the kids eventually become the parents or support the parents as they're coping. Because look, as a father of two teenage daughters, I know it is a challenge just being parents in a situation that's relatively stable. And I can't imagine well, I grew up in a neighborhood where there was a lot of unstable families and things like that. And my mom taught in East New York, where she supported lots of families, whether it's on coming to school, sometimes is the best thing for those children because they need just that
Mhm.
safety, that kind of taking down the level of the hypervigilance.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's so much has changed, so much is needed. And we have to be there to be support. And nonprofits, we're going to be in the community. We're going to be teachers, love nurses, love doctors, the military, love all of our heroes. But I go back to say our nonprofits founders are our unsung heroes because they're on the streets, they're pounding on the doors, they're there. And they need to be recognized. And am I saying that because I was one of them? Absolutely. Absolutely, because I really know what it's like and how it feels. And we work with nonprofits now. I see the tears, I see the pain, but I see the push and the drive and the love and the compassion and the give up everything. They're like, I didn't sleep last night. I got to pay this bill. I'm trying to pay my house bills, but I'm trying to make sure that my nonprofit gets off the ground. How do I do this? You know? I applaud them. It's like you're getting ready to get into one of the hardest battlefields you're ever going to be in your life. It's a battle,
Oh,
you
sure it
know.
is. Yeah, because and I think with missions like yours and the conferences that you're creating to make sure that we don't fight each other, right?
Yeah,
Our missions are very similar. Our missions are congruent with who we are, and that's the most important part. If we can kind of focus on that, it trickles down. If we again have that bigger light, it will trickle on. That thousand points of light really is a great metaphor because we all then shine it so much better, and people
right.
get to see it. They see the opportunities instead of having those calls. I mean, we've all received them. Hi, how would you like to donate to this? All these calls. If we all say this is a way you could support us without the financial, obviously we're going to need financial. I am
Hmm.
not saying let's be kumbaya and go live on a retreat and things like that, but let's work together to
Hmm.
show the power that we have. And guess what? So much more is going to happen because of that.
Right. And I recommend for nonprofits is that to have a list of different ways people can participate in your organization. They might be able to give funding, but guess what? You may have an old vehicle in your garage that you're not using or parked in your yard that you might not use it. Donate it,
Mhm.
right? Because there's programs that will take those cars and they will fix them up or they and resell them and they'll give the nonprofit part of the proceeds.
Right.
So there's so many different ways that you can help without having to come out of your pocket. And it's a win-win situation. You've got this car to your yard
Yep.
and you're doing some good. So just different things I love to teach and share with others to be able to build their nonprofit. And that's one of the things the Fearless Fundraising Summit is about, is showing them again how to do fundraising. When you're a one-man show or a two-man show and it's you and you have a board, but your board's not that active, or you have a board who doesn't know about fundraising, helping them slowly get into fundraising and being okay with asking and
Well,
doing
that's
different things.
like getting comfortable with asking because there's so much and I know for myself, I've never been the executive director till just recently, and there's so much that I don't know, and I still don't know, but I've been doing it and learning on the fly and doing the best we can.
Oh, my heart goes out to you. I'm gonna be here behind you, support. I'm gonna be texting you once. Hey, David, how's it going? I'm just checking to see how you're doing. Anything I can help you with today, David? You just want to just vent or whatever. I'm here. I want to have a healing circle. I'm gonna have a healing circle.
Well, that's what I could definitely
For
help you out with because
non-husband.
that's
Yeah,
that's what I do is I work with in helping people create their stories that
yeah,
other people need to hear. We'll have stages together, and then also I work with mental wellness as well. Just hold on
yeah.
a second, my daughter's calling, which is
Okay,
okay.
okay,
Yeah, everything's fine.
okay. Great, great.
She just went to work, and I was like, "Why is she calling me?" That's not a good sign. But everything's good.
Good, good. Oh, I
So
know, and again, that's where that importance comes. It's like priorities, right?
yeah,
It's like I'm in the middle of doing something. I got to take care of my family first.
yeah.
It's one of the things we're never taught is us first. we're always taught people first, but it has to be us first. Like there's this people, there's a scripture that says, love your neighbor as you love yourself. Well, you have to love yourself before you can
Yeah,
love your neighbor, right?
yeah,
And so when
that's
we don't have
powerful.
that self-love because there's also people that says, oh, if you love yourself, that's selfish. Take care of yourself, that's selfish.
Yeah,
You
no,
shouldn't be. But it's like, no, you need to love yourself first because then if you love yourself, you're going to exude love. You're going to just, love is just going to just pour out of you, right? And you're going to be able to share more love in the world. So there's so many different things that I hope to be able to drop on this world before I leave.
yeah, no, and that's exactly right. I mean, that story is one of the reasons why I work really hard with some of the organizations on suicide prevention. I attempted suicide 5 years ago, even though I knew all the right resources. Had to
Mhm.
do had to tell you to do it, right? I didn't know that I didn't love myself. Nobody ever asked me that question, and now when they ask me that question, I know the answer, and
Yes.
the answer is always yes. I don't have to
Mhm.
always like everything I do, but the more important part is, again, knowing what we want, knowing our resources, using our resources, and showing our love. It's the old saying of, put your air mask on before you help somebody else. And most
Yeah.
people don't understand why. And it really is because you'll pass out of the lack of oxygen, and then you're both no good and any good.
Good.
So take care
Mhm.
of yourself is not being selfish. Now, if you're just doing it, putting yourself always in front, that's something to look at. But that's not where we're at. We're looking
Mhm.
at people who are rolling up their sleeves, doing whatever they need to do to show up and do that. And I thank you for showing up. Before we leave, do you have any? I mean, you've given us so much information. How about, is there any one more seed you'd like to share with us that might grow regarding not-for-profits or something that you might want to share with others?
Yes. This is along with the same part of the conversation we were just having is loving ourselves. It was so powerful for me when I realized, how they say you are the temple of God. And so it was really, it's been really powerful for me. And I get to practice. I practice it every day now. It's really a practice, but to realize that God is inside of me, that I'm this
Mm,
temple, that He's inside of me. And so every single day I wake up and I say, okay, what do you want to experience today, God? What do you want to experience through me? Right. And I want you to experience joy, happiness. I don't want you to experience misery and pain and anger or anything along that line. So every morning I wake up and I'm just like, okay, and try to make the day the best day, have happiness and fun. Because if that's God experiencing that through me, I want him to have the best experience. So I can even make it be miserable or I can make it be exciting. And that's what I want to see. And so now when I look at you and I look at everybody, I see God in them. I don't see all the other stuff. It's like, okay, let me see God in you first, right?
that's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. So that's what I just wanted to leave.
Okay, thank you. And how can people contact you to either support your organization or to learn more about the conference? Obviously, I'll pass it on to my people, but how can other
Yes.
people hear about either the conference, your upcoming retreat, or any of the other work you do?
So the nonprofit, I love it. It's Apple Charlie, Sam Apple Charlie. People say, "Were you in the military?" I'm like, no, .org. So it's another choice, another chance, SAC.org. And so if you're interested in becoming a member or learning more about the nonprofit, it's the nonprofitfoundersclub.com.
Okay.
Nonprofitfoundersclub.com. So thank you so much. This has been a pleasure. Thank you again for all the work that you're doing. I'm looking forward to working with you. And everybody, come check out David at the Fearless Fundraising Summit on July 12th through the 14th.
Okay, thank you. I will make sure that this gets out early enough to
Okay.
be heard on to kind of push out this summit as well. But thank you
Okay.
for everything that you do, that you
Thank
have
you.
done. I mean, again, you're one of those points of light. You're the butterfly effect. The lives that you've probably changed probably go into the tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands. So thank you for that, and God bless you.
Thank you. My pleasure. It was my pleasure.